Hello everyone and welcome to Club at 22 the Rangers podcast as we bring reaction to the news that everybody already knew that Michael Beale is the 18th permanent manager of Rangers Football Club. I am Scott Carney and I'm with everybody tonight. Ali, how are you, mate?
Very well. I'm away for work, but I forgot to bring my podcast mic, and as Rangers would do, they announced the manager tonight, so I thought I'd come on. I'm very shocked that it's Michael Beale coming.
I think we all are. Ryan, how's it going? Oh, hang on, you're in the wrong place. Ryan, how's it going? Sorry, Scott, I'll go back to you.
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm glad that we waited till tonight to announce it. Wanted just to relax and enjoy my weekend and not need to stress about anything. So, it's the news we all knew it was going to happen. It was inevitable. It was the worst kept secret in Scotland, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, apart from Jim White, who's still not found out that it's happened. And Scotia, how are you, mate?
Not bad. Like you guys, yeah, kind of knew was expecting it. Although Rangers did kind of drag it out today because I was getting ready to sort of go out and get my dinner and stuff, and then about an hour or so ago, the news comes through and puts a spanner in my works.
You still in Qatar, Scotia?
I am, yes. Yeah, had a good wee weekend in Qatar with £12 pints.
Yeah. Let's not get into you're changing of profile pictures, etc. So I say we are here to discuss the news that it's obviously now confirmed that Michael Beale is the 18th manager of Rangers Football Club. A statement said that he signed a contract to 2026, and obviously he joins us after leaving Queen's Park Rangers. It's an exciting appointment for the club, according to the statement, with Beale undoubtedly one of the most sought-after managers in British football. Ali, before I go any further and I'll break down more of the statement that was released, because there's a few things in there I would like to talk about, whether we're going to be reading between the lines or not. I suppose that's open to interpretation. I'm quite excited about this. I think there's a lot of people that aren't. I do believe that we were always going to have. I don't think every Rangers fan was going to be happy with no matter who we appointed. I genuinely believe if we appointed Klopp, I think people would still be upset about it. So I get it. I get the people feeling a wee bit kind of let down by it. But for me, I think it isn't the most out of the blue appointment. However, we're bringing in a man that, in my opinion, he's ready to go. He knows the club. He understands the club. He gets what this is all about. Yeah, a lot of people might have said he's not done great at QPR and ultimately maybe didn't do great with us, but he wasn't the manager at that point. But for me, I think the club I think they've appointed the right man. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of camps for the Rangers fans where they fall into. I kind of fall in between the two camps, if I'm being honest at the moment. Am I excited by the signing? I wouldn't say I'm excited. I'll 100% get behind Beale. It was the obvious choice. It was probably the easier choice for the Rangers board to go down with Beale. Like you say there, Carney, he's been there before. He's worked with these players. The danger is I don't want him to go down the road where kind of Ali McCoy went there. I know we're talking different eras here, but he was a coach, assistant manager at Rangers behind Walter, and was more of a pal with the players. I hope Beale doesn't come in and be their pal again, if you know what I mean. I hope he comes in and they know he is the gaffer moving forward. He's not just a coach they can have a carry on with. So, yeah, he's got a great CV in terms of a coach. As a manager, he's only been in a job 4 months. He's done well with QPR, apart from the last 5 games. I think they've kind of slipped a wee bit. But then I don't know who she go for. I would have rather went for somebody completely different if it was me, if I had the choice. But I'm happy he's here. I think he should do well. I just, like I said in the previous podcast, the board have to back him and we have to gut the squad. I don't want to be seen next season. Ryan Jacks, Ryan Kent's, Morelos. I don't want the same team again. I want this team gutted and I want him to start from scratch.
Yeah, we'll probably come on to that towards the end. Mate, Scotia, your initial thoughts now that it's confirmed? Are you all aboard?
I get fully behind him and see where we go. I do still have reservations about Beale, given that he's only been in the job at like a managerial position for like 4 months, like Ali says there. But you could probably level the same when Gerrard came in, although obviously Gerrard comes with that gravitas in the world football. But Beale's very highly thought of, so I kind of knew it was going to happen. Like you say, probably the easiest choice to make. I think, given that it's an appointment halfway through a season, the easy choice is probably the better one to make. Like I'd said when we were recording Friday night, had this been an appointment in the summer, then I would have probably preferred to look at other candidates, a wee bit more left field perhaps. But given that we're sort of in the course of a season, then it's probably the right decision. I think for me, the interesting thing for me over the weekend was I kind of convinced myself it was going to happen, but it was what he was going to do in terms of background team, and that obviously that get confirmed today. I don't know if you'll talk about that later on or not.
Yes, yeah, well, have you got the full list of who's there? Do you know?
I know three that have came with him. Yeah, Neil Banfield, Harry Watling, and Damien Matthew all came up from QPR with him. Which I was. I'll just go on here, Karen, if you don't mind. But
go for it.
I wasn't convinced that they would, because I think that Neil Banfield, he was the assistant under Warburton at QPR before Beale came in, and he'd been at QPR for quite a while. Now I think he'd left Arsenal in 2018 and moved to QPR, so I wasn't sure what that background staff would be like. But it's good that he's got his staff, a good base of a staff there. I think there'll probably be more appointments we do need to make between now and actually kicking off against Hibs.
Yeah, Ryan, are you all aboard the Beale train?
I've not even got out of my bed to buy the ticket yet, Carney. Listen, I don't want to sit here and we've just appointed our 18th manager, so like I said in the pod the other night, there we all want the same thing. Michael Beale's come out and he's interviewed tonight and said, "I'll give the fans what they want. I'll give them a team that win and win in style." You can keep half of that, Michael, because I just want us to win. It's all I care. I don't care who's in charge, whether it's someone who's never managed a team in their life before. Just win his games, get his trophies back. That's all I want. And yes, Michael Beale wouldn't have been my choice. I think there's a lot of kind of romantic, sentimental views with Michael Beale, which I get, because he brought a big trophy home for us, or was part of that coaching staff. It's very similar to Gerrard. I think he should find himself in a very lucky position, a fortunate position to be managing Rangers. I think he's in a very fortunate position. I think the board have given him this opportunity as an easy option. I will say it. I think it's an easy option for them. I think they'll look at, if they had a short list of managers, they would probably have all demanded a serious wedge of financial backing to change this team because of the way we've been playing. Whereas they'll probably look at Michael Beale and think, you can turn this around for us. You can get those players playing the way you did a couple of years ago. So I do see the common sense behind his appointment, but there is no getting away from this as a huge, huge risk.
I think it is. I don't think one manager that we brought in at this stage is not a risk for this board. I believe that they're at that stage now that it has to go well, it has to go right. And I was saying to you in the group chat, we had a wee debate, Ryan, when we went on with each other. Friendly, very friendly, obviously, debate, but I'm done with the point of being negative around Rangers and dreading going to Ibrox and to watch football, and it should never have been the case. And that's the way that I felt about going to Ibrox. And now I feel that this can't get any worse. Look, I believe there's better men out there for the job. There is probably, yeah, there is. But a lot of this appointment makes total sense to me because he does get the club. He's obviously impressed when he was here, because I don't think the board would then go back and take that much of a risk if they thought, oh, he was okay, or he's obviously got quite a high rapport and quite a high respect level with the current board. So they've went and got their man. I think they've done this now more than anything, because I think if he started to turn things around with QPR, I don't think he was ever going to be Rangers manager, because he would have moved on. He'd have probably moved into the Premier League, and then that's it. You're very unlikely to get him unless he kind of completely fails. But even if he was to completely fail, our Rangers fans going to want him on as manager. So I think it was either now or never for Michael Beale to return, and I think he's made it quite clear that he's always wanted to return. So I'm going to stay optimistic. I'm going to stay optimistic. I'm going to try my hardest to bring out all of you round to being on the Beale train.
Yeah. I can't believe he's brought that back.
Jack Amara.
Oh, listen, mate, if he brings that back, there's a season ticket in the Govan front for him that it wants it.
Well, it's interesting. We'll come on to players, I suppose. Ryan, I'm going to come back to you because obviously you were saying that you think the board aren't going to put the money where their mouth is, if you like. Douglas Park did say in the statement, "I'm delighted to welcome Michael as our new manager, and we aim to strengthen our on-field performance. Michael's a very exciting appointment for us, and his energy and ambition stood out both when he was here previously and in the decisions we have had prior to him rejoining. The board will support Michael and Ross Wilson to make this appointment a success, and I wish him the very best going forward." Now, again, am I being too glass half full here, Ryan, or am I seeing that there's going to be some form of transfer budget available to him? Because I've said it before as well. See if there isn't going to be a transfer budget available to him, he's failed before he even starts. Because I'll agree with Ali, this team needs stripped and started. Not started again, but it's not far off that.
Well, I think for the rest of the season, it's a free hit for Michael Beale anyway. I know that sounds a bit defeatist, but I do think it's a free hit. I think he finds himself very much in the same situation that Alec McLeish found himself in years ago, where all he could win was a double and make us look like a kind of team again. And I think that's all Michael Beale is left with. In terms of financial backing from the board, I'll believe it when I see it. Talk is cheap with this club at the moment, unfortunately. They speak a great game, and I'll kind of hold my opinion on that, if you don't mind, until after the AGM next week, because I think a lot of questions will still to be asked about the investment in the team and the return to the investors, etc., and whether this financial fair play is playing a part in what we're doing with our outgoings. But Michael Beale will definitely have asked for some sort of backing, whether it's in January or whether it's in the summer. But how much quality can you get in January? How much can you get really through that door to turn things around? I'm not so sure. I think his target probably will be get players like, dare I say it, Ryan Kent playing again, who we all know is a good player and just has fallen off the face of the earth. James Tavernier, again, he's fallen off the face of it. It's his job, the way I see it, from now to the end of the season, to get the guys back on form, back playing to the level that we know they can, and then take it from there. I think the investment, if there is going to be investment in the team, I think it will probably be more so in the summer.
Yeah, that is possible. I think the January transfer window is always a bit of a dodgy one. You're never really sure what you can manage to get hold of, and especially now after the World Cup as well. There could be a few red herrings out there. Ali, the announcement was delayed today because Michael Beale actually wanted to take training, which I quite like. I'm not going to lie. I quite like the fact that he decided, no, delay the announcement, let me get to the players. I'm going to presume it was a wee bit all high fives at the start, but I'm going to also presume that he knows exactly what's at stake here. And from the stuff that he said in interviews and the snippets we've seen on Twitter, etc., then he is saying all the right things. That is for sure. But I was impressed the fact that the first thing he's done, mate, is come in, do fitness tests with the players, and kind of assess his squad.
Yeah, I hope he's taken to the side and say, what we've seen this season, apart from what they did against PSV getting a Champions League, is completely unacceptable as a Rangers player. And a lot of these players need to look at themselves in the mirror. Players that he's dealt with previously, I'd like to think he'll take a few of them aside privately as well and tell them some home truths if they want to stay at this football club moving forward. Because it's been unacceptable this season by the majority of the squad. But yeah, it was good to see him do that. He knows the majority of these players. A lot of these players like him. You can tell by interviews and past interviews as well, ex-players. So he will get a tune out of some of these players. You're going to mention Ryan Kent's players. He will get a tune out of these players because he knows what makes them tick, these players. And it'll be sad because these players haven't done it for Gio this season. But when we turn up against Hibs on that Thursday night, it wouldn't surprise me if they turned it on. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a new manager bounce. I think I agree with Ryan. He's got a kind of free hit this season. The 2 cups are ones we'll be looking at to try and get, similar to when McLeish come in as well and close the gap in Celtic. And if they do drop points, great. We can try and close it, see what happens. We'll just need to take it as it comes in terms of the league. But Yeah, I was happy to see him do that, but he needs to get round some of these players and tell them exactly what playing for this club is about. Because if they're not interested, they need to go for me. And there's a lot of them that need to go in the summer.
No, there is. I'll agree with that. Scotia, what's your opinion on it? I think there is a lot of there's a lot of bad taste in people's mouths with the way some of the players have responded to Gio and the kind of way that they kind of conducted themselves. A lot of players have let themselves down massively this season. There is no doubt there's going to be a spring in the step of a few players within the squad because they know him. They know what kind of style he's going to play. They're probably quite happy playing the style that he's trying to play. So I do expect a bit of an uplift, but I think the biggest questions are going to be Morelos and Ryan Kent. Do you think Beale will do what he can to keep them, or do you think for everyone's sake, and even mine included, and I am a Ryan Kent fanboy and an Alfredo Morelos fanboy, but it's time for change?
Yeah, on Kent and Morelos, it'd be great if you could keep them around the club forever and they were playing at a really good level. You know, you would love to see that, but that's not the case. They've probably been here too long now. I mean, Kent's coming to the end of his 4-year contract that he was given initially when he joined us from that loan spell. So he's not been offered like a contract extension as far as I'm aware during his 4 years here, which is maybe a wee bit surprising given some of his performances. But no, you would like to think that Beale coming in will get a wee bit of tune out these players. And I kind of criticise them a wee bit about it because the drop-off in players shouldn't be there. But you sit back and look at it in the whole light of day, it is the case. Even in normal job situations, there are certain you change manager or something and your standards can maybe drop off a wee bit, even if you're not consciously doing it. But they need to start showing something because they have been pretty poor for large spells of this season so far. I mean, with Beale coming in, there's only that batch of players that have came in the summer that are new to him, so he'll know pretty much everyone inside out. So I don't think it'll be too big a deal for the new players that are in there. Your Yilmaz's, Cholak, Davies. You know, I think Beale will be quite happy with that. The fact that Cholak's there is good for him as well. When you consider Morelos' situation, because again, Beale, when he was with Gerrard, that was an area that we were really light in for far too often up front. So, no, I think he should get a decent wee bounce off them. But like what Ali kind of mentioned there, these cups are massive this season. And I kind of looked at it and I was like, Aberdeen semi-final at Hampden. I mean, the last time we had that was that one for Big Hoop. What was the boy's name?
Sadiq.
Big Umar Sadiq, I'm missing it. So when I seen that, I was like, oh, that just gave me flashbacks to that night, and it wasn't a really enjoyable night. But he does need to do something in the cups this year, at least one as a minimum, preferably two. And like I said to you guys, one of the last couple of pods that we've done is the performance levels really need to rise up. I think the league is too far gone now. I think it's too far gone. So for me, it's don't let that gap grow any further. Like Ali says, if we can cut it down, great. But I want the performance levels of the team to improve. And like you say, midfield's going to be an interesting one. Let's put it that way, because midfield's been an issue for too long. And you'd think even when Gerrard was here, you had Gerrard and McAllister, two really good central midfielders, and midfield seemed to be an issue. Whether it'll be interesting to see how that midfield reacts. Back then, was it purely Gerrard and McAllister that were dealing with that, or was that Beale's kind of tactics screaming through in that as well? So it'll be interesting, because even, I mean, I look at Giovanni as well, and yes, he was a left back primarily, wasn't he, once he left us, but I still think of him as a midfield player as well, just given he played in that position for us. So it'll be interesting to see how the midfield develop over the next month or two.
Yeah, I think a major part of that is what Glenn Kamara we're going to see for the rest of the season as well, because there's no doubt that he played his best football under Gerrard and Beale. So I would like to think we might see a wee bit of a rejuvenated Kamara. I'm not sure. I think he might have already decided that his future lies elsewhere. We've kind of seen his attitude, his application this season has not been particularly good. Ryan, do you think what Scotia's saying there, do you think performances are going to improve? Surely they they must improve. And there's not really... I know you're saying it's all about wins, but I'll ask you a question. If Gio was still manager and we were just winning, but you were watching the kind of dross that we watched against St Mirren, St Johnstone, etc., but we were winning them games, would you be happy enough for that?
As long as I get a trophy at the end of it, yeah, that's what I want. I can put up with the bad play as long as I get a trophy at the end of it. I've seen it before, but I suppose going back to the original point about, yeah, I totally expect us to get as Ali said, a manager bounce. I think that will happen. I don't think we can play any worse. I think if we play any worse than we have this season, I think the skylight at the back of my head is going to get bigger. It's been a struggle watching Rangers this season. I've been disillusioned like many other fans, and I did say, like, I didn't think it's all down to Gio the way we've been playing. I think the board have had a lot to do with it. I also agree the players, a lot of them need to have a look at themselves in the mirror and decide why they're at Rangers. Do they want to stay at Rangers and are they ready to fight for this jersey? Because some of the players have shocked me in terms of their attitude and their application. Lundstrom was the biggest shock for me. I won't get that out of my head. That St Johnstone ball, just giving that up. I think Beale, if he's seen that, will be asking players like him, what's going through your head there? Why have you just given up on a ball? And is the fight there for you? Is it there for you for the rest of the season and going forward? So I think there'll be a lot of changes and a lot of people having to look at themselves in the mirror. But I am confident he'll get the manager bounce. And if he does, the euphoria will start. Of course it will. It's going to be, we can still win this league and we'll get a cup double. And once he gets his own players in summer, that will inevitably happen. But yes, I completely have confidence that we can get a manager bounce and get a bit of form. And it's what we needed. Like I said, this wasn't all in Gio, but he had to go for us to get this and take this next step.
Yeah, I do agree. Just on the board, Ross Wilson appeared today. Oh, they're a surprise. I am pleased to welcome Michael back to Rangers today. I know how excited he is about everything that comes with the prestige of being Rangers manager. Equally, our players and staff at both the training ground and at Ibrox are looking forward to working with Michael. He has a clear plan and will get to work with the group straight away, along with the technical and support staff. Finally, this is a coveted managerial position, and after an intense week of discussions, I wish to extend our sincere thanks to all of the excellent managers who we met to discuss the role. Now, Ross Wilson does not help himself, in my honest opinion. I don't think Rangers have spoke to many, if more than maybe two. I'm not going to lie. I think Ross Wilson, again, there is fluffing the feathers a little bit and trying to pull the wool over the eyes, because it was always Michael Beale. It was clear that it was always Michael Beale. Rangers were clear that it was always Michael Beale. So I'd like to think he had conversations with other ones, but Ross Wilson has a lot of making up to do, I think, because he's not much credit left in the bank. Ali, again, that's kind of bringing a negative to what probably should be a positive podcast. But Ross Wilson must be praying to any god that he might believe in that this works out with Michael Beale, because if it doesn't, he is done.
Yeah, he's got a relationship with Beale, but he's got to give him the right players. I mean, Beale will be coming in today and looking at the likes of, I know he's my whipping boy at the moment, Matondo. He'll be looking at Matondo and going, what have we got here? Let's see if he turns Matondo into a player, by the way. That's the first one I'm looking at. If he can turn Matondo into a player, he can turn Scotia into a player as well. No, Ross Wilson, he needs to... I'd love to know, Gio won't, because he's too nice a guy and he'll never do, not a kiss and tell story, but a story of actually what happened at Rangers in terms of, did he actually have a say in the signings? Because to me, it didn't look that way. Beale has to have a say in who he wants to bring in. Worked with a lot of youth, Michael Beale. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go down that kind of route. Players like Joe Aribles, who have brought in before, I could see him going down that route. At QPR, when he went in there, I don't think he spent a penny at QPR, and he's got to tune out some youth players down there. I can see him going that route with us. He knows the English market well. He's worked abroad as well. So, but Ross Wilson needs to work with him. If this fails, Ross Wilson is gone. So it has to work for Ross Wilson, for his job's sake.
For his job's sake, yeah, for sure. And obviously Beale's, but no, I think Ross Wilson... Scotia, I think Ross Wilson's lucky to still be in his job. I'm not going to lie. I do think it's slightly unfair on Gio, the fact that his team have went and Ross Wilson hasn't, because I think when we break it all down, and we will look at it over time and kind of analyse it, but Ross Wilson hasn't worked for me, and this is when I can get where Ryan's coming from with this being a lazy appointment, but because for him it's like this is his ace card. I think this is what he had left.
Yeah, for Wilson, that is very much last through the dice for him. For me, I don't think it was either one of Gio or Wilson had to go. I don't think that you can get rid of both of them, because then you are properly ripping it up and starting from scratch. Which I know Alex says we need to do that with the squad, but there's enough good things there to rather rip everything up and completely start from scratch. I think what I'm trying to say. But Wilson, this was his last through the dice. Looking at the manager names that were getting floated about, there was quite a few managers that were that are out of work. Obviously Hasenhüttl, I would imagine, would have been one that they spoke to. Glad that it wasn't him, by the way. But given that Ross Wilson's worked with Hasenhüttl in the past as well, Dyche is obviously out of work. I think Wilson's worked with him probably as well. And then you had Sione and Tedesco, who were both out of work after leaving Leverkusen and Leipzig, respectively. So the managers that they've spoke to, I think it's not as if they've had to, go and speak to too many other clubs. I think there's always going to be this kind of feeling among the sport, given that Beale was up for that Aberdeen game a couple of weeks ago, that there were some wheels in motion, things going on in the background. It almost as well seems with Beale coming in, the question that got asked, why wasn't this done last season when Gerrard left, was why was Beale not done? Because it feels like they're almost potentially going back to that step. What I will say in their credit is at least they've got it done within the space of a week again, very quick turnaround. So it's shown that aspect of it's working, that it's not dragging on for weeks, months potentially, that we've got someone new in, so we can get cracking on straight away almost.
Yeah, I just say I might not sound it, because I mean, of course I've got reservations behind it all. I do, and it is the untested of it. And I know Gerrard was untested when he came in, but Gerrard was different, because he was like a hero of mine when I was watching football growing up. I love Steven Gerrard, and the stature of the man really got you excited about it, because we needed it at the time. But I do think we are at a point just now where we need to start playing football again, and we need to start winning games. And I believe that Michael Beale's got a good chance of doing that. I do believe his biggest obstacle is becoming the manager, if that makes sense. He has to move away from being the coach, unless this is, as I mentioned before, the director of football head coach role, if you like, of the team. That maybe that's the way that they're going to look at it more than anything else. But he still really has to stamp his authority in terms of discipline as well, not just his authority and his kind of style and implementing onto the team. He really has to. He has to not let these players get away with anything, because I don't think there was ever really a fear with Gio. It didn't come across that way. You don't know what happens behind closed doors, of course, but I think the players, evidently some players chucked it under him, and we can't be having that again. This can't happen. So Michael Beale really has to become the manager. Ryan, have you got any final thoughts? Like Michael Beale did say, he said, "I'm hugely proud. It's a wonderful, wonderful club. For everyone that works here, it's a huge privilege. But to be the manager of this football club, this is extremely special. Some wonderful people have sat in this chair prior to me, and I am hugely proud to be the person sat here now." He does get it. He does get it.
I think that's a huge thing. I'll probably contradict myself here when I say what I'm about to say. I don't think it takes the best manager in the world to win the SPFL title. I will say that on record. I don't think you need to be a Jurgen Klopp or a Jose Mourinho, a tactician. I think what you do need to be successful in Glasgow is to get it, and he does get it. He understands what's required at his club. He understands the standards. So for that alone, then there's a positive in his appointment. What I do still have my concerns about, which I said the other day there when we kind of knew Beale was going to get appointed, is that we have this. We give Beale the credit for everything that went well when he was here, and Gerrard seems to take the stick for what didn't go well, because that team were struggling under Gerrard. We were limping through games the kind of way we were at the beginning of this season when he left. I know we're ahead in the league, but that lot were having a bit of a meltdown with Postecoglou just been in the door. But I think we were limping a bit before they left, and we were struggling to break teams down and break the low block down, if you want to use that term. I think Beale has to have a plan B. I think he has to have learned from his time here, and hopefully that he has seen things that Gerrard's done when he's been under Gerrard and thought, I wouldn't have done that, I would have done this. So I'm hoping we see the best side of Michael Beale, and as you say, that's where we need to see the manager of Michael Beale, and not just I don't know what his actual official title was, head coach or whatever. But we need to see his team and him implement his own ideas and put the wrongs that were there, that people forget there were wrongs there when Gerrard and Beale were here before, and put them right and start being a bit more ruthless and start showing a bit less respect to these teams who I always like to call jobbers. We always go 1-0 up against his team and just sit back or play possession. I think he needs to be a bit more ruthless with his tactics, so it'll be very interesting to see whether he does that or not.
Yeah, I think it's he isn't the finished article by no stretch of the imagination in terms of a manager. I really hope that he is very much open to adapting and not just plan B is to do plan A better. I hope there's a wide kind of scope of what we do, and we can approach games differently, because Gio said all that, and at times we did do it, especially in our run to Seville. He changed some things that were like the genuinely genius with the dropping back of Lundstrom and all that. We all remember that against Dortmund and being like, what is going on? But it worked a treat, and he can't be scared. That's the thing. And I genuinely don't think he is. I think he understands what is at stake for him as a manager as well. He's turned down the Premier League to come here because I think he believes that he can come here and do the job. So for me, right now, as I say, I'm all aboard the Beale train. I happily sit at the front of the carriage and take pelters for it, and I'll stand by this. And hopefully, I'm not sitting here in a year with egg all over my face. But I just believe it. Out of everybody that I was seeing getting linked, this one just made more sense to me, because I get what Ali said is like, I would have loved a kind of whole change of direction, but I don't think the club's in a situation right now with the fan base that people would accept that. I think it would have been just too much of a risk, even though this one is as well. I do get that. That'll do us for tonight, gentlemen. Look, there's going to be plenty more to talk about. There's going to be plenty more things to speak about with Michael Beale being the appointed the 18th Rangers manager. So, Ali, thank you for tonight. Any final thoughts you have, mate?
No, I'm on the Michael Beale train as well. I'll 100% back him. I'll back any Rangers manager, but I'll back him. I'll be looking forward to seeing him walk out as a Rangers manager in his first competitive game, a proper game. I know he'll be there for Leverkusen, but competitive game against Hibs on the bizarre night of Thursday night, which is live on Sky as well. So I'll be there and I'll be backing him. And let's hope for moving forward that we see a lot of success in those shiny trophies that Ryan likes to see moving forward.
I like to see them too, generally. I do. I like shiny trophies as well. Scotia as well, thanks, mate. And any final thoughts?
Yeah, cheers. No, I'm aboard the Beale train, I would say. I mean, I've still got reservations, but I always would. But no, I like Michael Beale as a person. He comes across really well. So I want him to succeed. We all want him to succeed, because if he succeeds, it means Rangers are winning shiny things, like Ryan says there. So, all aboard it. And I mean, Rangers have played a blinder. It fills out that stadium for the 10th of December now, I think, as well, doesn't it, this appointment? Whereas I think a lot of us were probably like, no, we'll just give that one a miss. Changes the mindset of the fans somewhat. But no, here's looking forward to a better 6 months of the season going forward.
Here. Ryan, final thoughts, mate, and thank you for tonight.
I remember exactly where I was when Alec McLeish got appointed as Rangers manager, and I remember having a similar feeling, and he gave me some of the best days of my life as a Rangers manager. So I am all aboard the Beale train. So there you go. I'm hoping for a better second half to the season as well. And listen, I like Michael Beale. He's now the Rangers manager, so I am 100% behind him, mate.
Yes, we've got to be. That's the thing. We've got to be. You may disagree with it, but you can't change what's happening now. Michael Beale is the new Rangers manager, and it's time to get behind him. And hopefully, we have a much more enjoyable remainder of this season. That is for sure. So yes, thank you everybody for joining us for tonight. A kind of impromptu one, but we did say we would come live as soon as it was announced. A quick plug from me. You'll see that the 22 merch stuff has new T-shirts up for Christmas. If you're going to want them for Christmas, don't leave it too long because it does take time for me to get them sent away. So within the next week to 10 days, if you're thinking about putting an order in for Christmas, then get it done, so you're not disappointed. And yeah, as always, please do like the videos and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would be smashing. We'll be back on Friday with more reaction. We'll do a club live. So until we speak to you then, welcome back to Rangers, Michael Beale, who is the 18th Rangers manager. Speak to you on Friday, everybody. Cheers.